You know, I get asked from time to time, not only what do you do, but why do you do what you do? Let me tell you a little story. My favorite business owner, a very special business owner, was a guy who started his business when he was 37 years old. At the time, he was working a day job, and then he also worked a second job at night in a factory. And he was doing it for one reason and one reason only. And that was that he had a very large family. See, he had 12 children, and he was doing everything he could to make ends meet. In fact, in the days that he didn't work, the days that he took off, he would actually go out and try to find some odd jobs, do some other kinds of work. In fact, he found that he was pretty good at doing one particular thing, and that was doing window washing. So at the age of 37, he struck out on his own, and he started his own window washing business. You see, he had a dream. He wanted to build a business and leave a legacy for his 8 sons. And he was excited to do it. He found he was really actually pretty good at it. He had a great personality, connected really well with his customers, was excellent at his trade. But as it turned out, he wasn't very good at running a business. He would wake up every morning and he would look to see who he was going to service by looking through Big Chief tablets rolled up on the dashboard of his truck. Every customer that he went to see was thrilled with his work, loved what he did. But every day there were 2 or 3 customers who he disappointed because he just didn't show up. He had forgotten that he had made a commitment to deal with them. He didn't run his business by having any good solid financials. He was constantly trying to make ends meet, working day to day. His sons were working with him, and they would come home at night, oftentimes with barely enough to take care of the basic needs for the family. Since he didn't even have a checking account, he would oftentimes cash his checks at a local bar. And when he'd do that, 1 drink might lead to 2, and 2 to 3, and before you knew it, the entire day's earnings were wasted on the bar bill. And he'd go home, and his family would be waiting, hoping that there would be money for them to have dinner. And oftentimes there wasn't any. On a couple of occasions, he even went home to find his family sitting on the curb with all their belongings because they had just been evicted from the place that they had lived because they hadn't paid the bills. And his job was that evening to find a new home for their family. This went on for years and years. You can imagine that his wife wasn't very happy with him, and things really were fairly difficult at home. He missed all of his kids' activities, their sporting events, their group activities, was never involved in their growing up. His wife got angry with him and at one point finally had it fed up and asked for a divorce. His sons, one at a time, got frustrated with the experience, and they actually went out and set up competing businesses because they knew the trade, so they set up competing businesses to compete with their dad. This went on, and in fact, at one point, it got to the point where he was desolate, he was an alcoholic, living out of his van, still hanging on to the dream that one day, the business would turn into something that was extraordinary. One of his sons got extraordinarily lucky and got a scholarship to go to college anywhere he wanted in the U.S. And he took that opportunity to go as far away from home as he could, and took off. Went from going into college, went into the military for a stint, and then ended up in a corporate job. Moved quickly up the corporate ladder to a place where he could retire at age 50. And at age 50, that son moved to Texas to work with business owners to help them learn how to make sure that their dreams could come true. I love my dad. My dad's 77 years old. He still washes windows. Whenever I see him, he still has that, he talks about the dream. He talks about the opportunity that he missed. That if we could still do it, there was still time. That dream is now turned into a delusion for my dad. But I am totally committed to the idea of saving as many business owners as I can from the heartbreak that happens when they start out with a dream and an excitement about building something, but it never comes to fruition. That's why I do what I do. I work with business owners to help them bring their dreams to life. And the sad reality is that in today's environment, 4 out of 5 businesses will never make it past their first year. In fact, only 1 out of 10 will ever see their 10-year anniversary. The failure rate with businesses is staggering. And it has nothing to do with the technical skills that the business owner has. Oftentimes, the business owner is very, very good at their trade. But what they aren't very good at is knowing the principles and the processes and the activities necessary to build a sustainable business. And that's what I do. I help business owners build that entity, that business, that can actually be profitable and work without them being in it. You see, my goal is for somebody who owns a business, somebody who's put themselves out on the line, they're invested totally all in, for that person to have the freedom and the flexibility to work in the business if they want to, but to be able to make every soccer game for their kid, be able to spend time with their wife or their husband or their significant other, and be able to do the things that running a business should afford them the opportunity to do. If you know somebody who fits into that category and they're looking for somebody who could be as passionate as them about helping them make that dream come true, call me. I'd love to meet them. My name's Rich Allen. I'm a business coach, and I'm looking for people that have the same kind of commitment and desire that my dad had, but want to do something different with their opportunity than what he did. Thanks for spending your time with me today.